Hello and welcome to the Strategic Pause. I'm Jill Parish and I'm here with my fellow podcaster, Katrina Kennedy. Thanks for joining today. I'm super excited about today. Today, we are going to talk about what's it like to write a book because Katrina is an author and it's something I know almost nothing about. And so I'm very excited to learn with you all. And we're going to do this sort of in a interview light format. So I'm going to ask her some questions and then we'll sort of riff off of that. I have no doubt, though, that we will still hit all of our KPIs. So I'm not worried about that. So, Katrina, why don't you start with? I'm just curious, was writing a book something you'd always wanted to do? Were you like the little kid who was like, I'm going to be an author? Or how did that come about for you?
So I was always the nerdy little kid who loved to write and I loved writing. Like I would have notebooks where I would just like make up reports of each of the presidents of the United States or whatever I could like write about. And so in third grade, I had a fabulous teacher, Mrs. King, and I told her that I wanted to write a book someday, and she said, "You can do that." And so she was like the first adult who totally believed in me and was like, yes, you can. Um, and so then, as life progressed, I thought I wanted to go into journalism and kind of do that type of writing. And then in college, I took a journalism class and I didn't love it. And so I switched to English. And then life progressed and I switched to sociology and then I got a job, totally unrelated. And then I had a child and then life kept going and going. And one day in my kitchen, we were having a conversation and my son said, "What did you want to be when you grew up?" And I said, "I wanted to be a writer." And he said, "Well, why don't you do that?"
Oh,
Yeah, I got called out.
yeah. Out of the mouths of babes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you always want to write about a specific topic or was it just like the writing to write? Like you just loved that process?
It was always just there was never a specific topic. It was just
Okay.
writing to write. It was like that. I think you and I have talked before about just like liking to think. I
Mm.
really, really like to think. And I really like to think deeply. like I wear my nerd, I it's who I am. It's who I am. So yeah, there was never a topic. There was never a topic. It was just the act of.
Okay, so we're going to get to your actual published book, but before we do that, did you ever do you have books that you've written that you have not published? Do you have like partially written manuscripts in your back closet? Like was the first book you wrote actually the first book you wrote?
No.
No.
So let's see if you can see it. There's a shelf down there.
Okay.
Has a binder or two. It actually
Yeah.
has a green binder and then it has a stack of paper. So those are the 3 books that I wrote that never went out into the world.
The
Um,
3.
yeah, the
Wow.
3.
Okay.
The
Okay.
3. I might have, had a little like we could call it imposter syndrome, but that's like almost like I kind of almost am over that term.
Mm.
But I guess that's what it was. Just one of them I started, oh gosh, probably 22 years ago,
Oh wow.
um, about book groups and actually reached out to at the time, like I reached out to Hillary Clinton, I reached out to Warren Bennis at UCLA, I reached out to a lot of authors, a lot of people who had written books to get information from them about their book and questions they would ask if they were doing a book group. So that
Okay.
was my first like really kind of complete thing. Um, and then I just got caught up in myself and was like, well, nobody would want this. And
Oh.
and And then I did that a second time and a third time. And the third time is the one that ultimately led to the book that I published.
So
But
you have
the third one is not the book that I
was not the
published.
book. So you have 3
Mhm.
fully written books that you have just never gone after publishing?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I did not know this. Are
Yeah.
you allowed to tell us the second and the third, the topics? Is that something you talk about?
Yeah, so the second one was just kind of a brain dump of everything, learning and development. I think it
Okay.
was called something design, like good by design, something, I don't know. I don't even remember. I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
Um, and then the third book was all about engagement and how to
Oh.
engage people in learning and development and training specifically. So
So I would just
there,
like to put a vote out there for getting all 3 of those published. But, um
course.
yeah, but I mean, I bet they're so much better than you think, but that's okay. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that offline. We'll make that happen. How did the 3rd book that is not the one you wrote end up teeing off the one you actually wrote?
So I had the kitchen moment with my son, right? Like, go be a writer. And
Mhm.
then my dear friend Paul Briley, who has a podcast called Off the Comma, and he interviews people. He has a very successful podcast, in fact. He interviews people who have had something in their life that they were kind of stuck on, and then
Okay.
they overcame it. And most of the people on his podcast have overcome their thing. And early on, when he was just launching the podcast, he asked if I would be on it. And I was like, yes, but I'm stuck. So let's talk about
Oh,
that. And Paul is a fabulous coach. And that is what he's a coach and trainer.
okay.
And he leads his podcast as a like a coach. He doesn't call it coaching, but that's really what it feels like when you're on his podcast or you listen to his podcast. And
Okay.
so I talked about that third book. I talked about always wanting to write a book. Um, and he dug in. He dug in really deep on like
Oh.
what was holding me back and dug into my childhood, dug into like lots of stuff.
Oh, wow.
And out of that, I decided that it was time. So after the podcast, like literally the next day, I reached out to a contact that I had made with the Association of Talent Development, ATD Press,
Okay.
and said, I'd like to talk about a book idea. And so I got on Zoom with them and we discussed what the engagement book um and I wrote it from a perspective of attention and the importance of attention, the kinds of attention, blah blah blah.
Okay.
But it was also like a brain dump of everything I've ever done, everything. And so uh I decided to just share it with them. So I sent them a link to it. I think about that now and it almost makes me want to throw up. Uh, like what I sent them, it was so bad.
It really is
Um,
sort of sending somebody the inner workings of your brain. I can understand that's a pretty vulnerable thing to do.
it's a wild place to be, it's I don't like the childhood, like the child to book analogies, but there are some that really work because it is a bit like, you're putting Connor on a plane and he's going out there and
Yeah.
you hope that
Yeah.
he
It is kinda your
yeah.
baby. I
Right,
totally
right,
yeah, yeah,
right.
I can see that.
Um and so Jack Harlow, who is a fabulous human, contacted me and said, "This won't work. This is just too like, this is all over the place."
He said, "I
But
say this with love."
Right,
No.
exactly, and, but then he also said, You have a book in you, like,
Mm.
we just need to find it, we just need to
Right.
find the idea, and, it needs to be a little more focused."
Not so much this white out here, but maybe closer in here.
Yeah, let's get, like, in here, and, so I said, "Okay, well, let's connect again once we figure this out." And so I was brainstorming ideas and, and trying to come up with something. And meanwhile, I was on LinkedIn and I had commented on a post by Carl Kopp, who um, has been in learning and development for a really long time. He's really wise. He always has good information about active learning. And he had written a post about wisdom and reflection. And I commented, I don't even know what the comment was now. I could go find it, but I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it was brilliant.
It was brilliant, clearly. Yes. Okay, we'll just go with that.
Okay, okay. And then Jack reached out to me and said, I think that's your book. I
Mm.
think reflection is your book. And I thought about it. And I went in the kitchen again. Some of our best conversations happen in my kitchen. Um, I told my son, I think I'm going to write a book about reflection. And he looked at me. He didn't miss a beat. He said, Of course you are.
Again, out of the mouths of babes.
Right, exactly, exactly. And then when I stepped back and really looked at it, it was like, oh, well, this totally makes sense. This is the book I need to write. Reflection, retrieval and reflection are
Mhm.
essential in all the work that I do. Like it's essential to any training, any learning that we do because it is one of the mechanisms we use to learn,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I love those types of activities. And so I put a proposal together and they have a group that looks at the proposals once a month
Okay.
and they said no. Again, like, okay, I'm done. Two strikes.
Okay.
Um because I had come at it from more of like a philosophical, like, let's talk about reflection and
Mm.
what is it and what does it mean and but Jack said, rewrite the proposal. If you can rewrite it and get it back to me, we're going to meet again in February and I'll look at it again. And I said, okay. I turned it around the next month. I changed it entirely. I found buckets. I'm like, okay, let's just like have some outcomes. Let's like make it activity based. Here it is. And they said yes to that. And
Did
so
he give you, like, feedback? Like, "Hey, here's what you could do to tie this up." Okay, so you had a little direction, hopefully, from them?
I did. I did. I actually have a really lengthy email that he wrote directly in response to that first proposal,
Okay.
which I was able to then take that. And he even gave me some titles of other books to look at.
Okay.
And so I was able to use those as inspiration for kind of structure and and land on learning that lasts.
Okay. So you had a proposal. How long was your proposal?
So probably like 4 to 5 pages,
Oh.
of very specific questions they give you. Like, they give you a
Oh,
proposal
okay.
format. And in publishing, if you are publishing traditionally, there is kind of a standard format that you follow. So their format's pretty standard.
Okay.
They ask you, like, who's the audience? What's your platform? How many
Mm.
followers do you have? What's your marketing plan for the book? Um, and then they ask you for a sample chapter.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so and an outline. They want an outline of the whole book structure as well.
Okay, so they say yes. So what happens next?
So once they say yes, then it goes to contract and they drop a contract and you read it and realize you have really no power to change anything on the contract. So you just
Perfect.
smile
Good.
and nod and sign it.
Okay.
You can try to like ask for things and they're just gonna be like, no.
And they'll
Um
smile and say no with the just
it,
lovely faces.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And ATD is a very small press, and if you're working
Okay.
with a small press, like you're not going to get a lot. Like there's not an advance, there's not money up front.
Okay.
Um, so in that contract, they set two key dates. One is your 50% date, and the other is your 100%. So, what the date that they want to see 50% of your manuscript done, and then the date that they want the final manuscript. And we had a really very rigorous schedule. We signed, I signed my contract in April. July was my halfway point, my
Oh,
50% point,
wow.
and then October was my 100%.
Oh, so you signed in April, had to have half the book written in July and the full book written in October. Phew. Okay.
Yeah. So those are dates that you also give them in the
Okay.
proposal. You say, like, I can do it
Okay.
by this
So
point.
you
So
have
it's not,
some
they're
agency in
not,
that.
yeah, you have
Okay.
some
Okay.
control over that. Yeah.
Okay.
They're not like saying, you need to now put all your life aside,
Right.
get to writing.
Okay. So if let's just say if you don't hit that date, right? So you're like, "Oh, I was watching Ted Lasso for too long and I didn't hit that date." Did they like shut that down? I mean, is it in the contract that says we're done here if you don't submit by this date?
No, I
Okay.
don't know what the exact contract language is for that, or I don't think there's like a repercussion. I think they definitely probably have the control that they
Okay.
could.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, I give me a deadline, I will meet it.
You will meet it. Okay. So
Like I
when
am,
it
uh,
Go ahead.
I won't exceed it, but I will meet it.
It was July 1st, the deadline, and you submitted it or June 30th at 11:59 PM.
Exactly, exactly. Like that's how I operate. I need a good deadline, but a deadline's a deadline, right? Like
Yeah,
not a week before. That
right.
who
Right.
does that?
Me. I do that.
I, d- I can't even relate to that.
Okay, so you were like, "Okay, this book's a go. I've got essentially, 3 months maybe ish to write." What did you do? Like, how did you go about that?
So I have a job, right?
That's so
And
annoying.
I know it is. It really is sometimes. And so I continue to do the job, eh, but I typically take July, June, July, August, I do less work.
Okay. Mhm.
And so I wrote, like I would write almost daily. I kept track of I had a very extensive spreadsheet that broke it down to how many words I needed to write each day
Oh,
in order
wow.
to hit that 50% mark. And so I would write I couldn't I didn't I wrote very little at home. I would go
Oh, okay.
to the same coffee shop, sit in the same corner and write for a couple of hours, and then I would go home and be done. And, on Saturdays and Sundays, I'd often go back to the coffee shop, usually with my husband. He would take a book, and I would again write for a couple of hours. Um,
Okay.
I discovered that if I flew, I really love to write on a plane, because there's nothing else,
I
right? Like there's
love working on a plane. It is the
man,
best. Yes,
yeah.
I'm right there with you. Okay.
And that was the summer that my son was preparing to go to Salem State. So he was gonna move to Massachusetts. So we had college orientation for one trip,
Okay.
and then we moved him for another trip. So those all became plane writing
Okay.
and airport writing and any I that was the summer too that I decided to write in libraries. So I wrote
Oh,
in the library in Salem, Massachusetts, which is this quaint little cute library that's really old. I wrote in the New York Public Library,
oh, that's
um,
cool.
which was pretty fabulous. I
Yeah.
wrote in my local library. So it was really just taking advantage of those moments when I
Whoa.
could fit the writing in, but very little writing in my office or in my home.
And is that because you felt like you weren't the same, like, level of creativity wasn't happening, or just because you couldn't bear to sit there one more minute?
I think it minimized distractions. You
Mm.
know, I think it's easy to sit at my desk and then suddenly, like, I should organize my desk or I should check
Oh,
my email or I should, see like what's going on or I should go like pull the weeds in the garden or,
yeah.
go make dinner or put laundry in or, there's always something.
Yeah,
And so going to coffee and sitting there, just, no distractions and nothing pulling my attention away.
I love that. Okay, so it's July and you give them 50% of the book. Do
Mhm.
they critique it before you can move on, or what does that look like?
Basically, it was like, "Okay, you you've checked in, you're good, keep on
Really?
going."
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't until they had the complete manuscript. Now,
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that, and that's not completely true. I'm trying to remember at what point it became like so you never give them the whole manuscript, you give it to them chapter by chapter. And they edit in that way as well. So they edit chapter by chapter. And
Okay.
that started really in October once the whole
The
manuscript
whole
was
thing
done,
is
even though
done.
you don't give them the whole manuscript as one item.
So they don't really give you any feedback like, "Yeah, you're on the right track," or like, "Wow, you couldn't be so far off." Like in July, there's not real-time stuff
No.
happening right there?
No, not really. Like I probably could
Okay.
have asked for it. But
Okay.
at that point it was just like, let's get this done.
Yeah. Please,
Let's
I
get
don't
these
wanna do
words
this.
done.
Okay, that actually leads me to my next question. Did you like that process of writing? I mean, did you enjoy the writing every single day, and or did it become a slog at some point for you?
I loved it.
Of course you did.
I loved it. I mean, one, it was a perfect reason to have to go drink matcha,
That's
first of
true.
all. And, I I really need I really need something to do. Um, I I am not good at, like, watching TV. I am not good at, like, sit down and watch a movie.
Right.
I'm good at sitting and reading,
Okay.
to a point,
Yeah.
um, but I really loved having this big project that you're kind of whittling away at that
Oh.
ultimately has a deadline. I think so much of the work that we do in learning and development is like, okay, I have this class tomorrow, and okay, I have this class on Thursday,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to do this class again, but I want to make it all better and I want it to be
Mhm.
different and I need to upgrade it and
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
feedback. And so, like, it never is done.
It never
And in fact,
finishes. You're so right.
right. And
Yeah.
in fact, when I teach designing training, like that's one of the things I tell people, like, you're never done, which is
Can't
kind
get
of
through that.
daunting, right?
Yeah. So you
Uh,
still loved it. I mean, you really enjoyed that process, and didn't get to August and you weren't like, I cannot write one more day of my life. Like that was not a thing for you.
no, no, I really didn't have that because there's something really cool of all right, this is my nerdy self. There is something really cool about watching that number grow on the spreadsheet that like, It's bigger. It's bigger. We're almost there. We're almost there.
Some people would think that's really cool.
This
Okay.
person thinks that's really cool.
Okay. So you hit your mark and you submit it, and then what happens?
Mhm. And then it starts coming back.
Oh,
So now the editor has it. So the editor has it, and one of the things to keep in mind is that there's not an editor, there are like 4 editors, and there are different types of editing. It's one of the things that I learned. So like the first person is your acquisition editor. That was Jack, who was like working through like, there's an idea in here, let's find the idea. Then
okay.
you go to the development editor. And the development editor looks at the chapters, looks at the words, looks at the flow, and is like, does this work? Does this, just do these stories make sense? Do we
Okay.
have a structure and a flow? And so that's when you get it back kind of like high school essays, like, this circled, this
The
doesn't
red
work.
pen.
Change this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I hated that
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. I
That
imagine.
process sucks.
Yeah.
Um, it's what gets a good book ultimately out in the world. Um, but that process is hard. That process is hard. It was I had a difficult experience with the editor, who is a delightful person.
Mhm.
Um, but she was also pulled in multiple directions with her job, and she's trying to fit it in this 60,000 word editing, um while doing other things as well.
Okay.
And so that was a really hard process.
Well, I
That's
mean, we talked
sucked.
about how it's kind of your baby. So it seems like potentially it's just someone telling you your baby's ugly in many different ways, sort of over and over again.
Right, right. And it's not all negative. I mean, sometimes it's like, this doesn't flow, so we need more.
Okay.
Or, put another example here, or come up with a story here.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of like, you've given everything, and now like, okay, you're not done. You got to give some more. Like, give some
Yeah.
more. Give some
Oof.
more. Um and I think the, add more stories was
Mhm.
probably hard. And then just the explain this in a like a clearer way, or be more
Mm.
specific, that became hard. But I think that hard work also produced a better book.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So you had to take back your work that you had diligently completed. And then
mhm.
did you have like another deadline to like get all the other stuff back?
Yeah, and that deadline was sometimes really short because it was determined by when the editor got it to me in order to meet the next deadline.
Okay.
So, sometimes there was a big window for that, and sometimes it was literally like, we need this in, a week.
Oh,
And
okay.
and so that's happening. I feel like there's some context of life here.
Yeah.
That was happening at the same time that my child has moved cross
Oh,
country and
yeah.
is managing school at the
Mm.
same time I'm managing
Oh.
being an empty nester.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Also,
So
you
it
met
was a
me
lot.
during that period of time.
I
So,
did.
there was that glimmer of just pure joy that you got to experience as well during
A-
that time.
Absolutely. It was like the light just like on me, the Jill light, the jilt. It was the jilt.
The jilt, and you just made up a new word, KPIs matched.
There we go. Met. Met right
And I
there.
love it. Okay. So you were just managing nothing and just editing your book like it was nothing and it was no big deal. And then you send it back. Is that the end of the editing? No.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, because now we have copy editing.
Oh, okay.
And editing is that picky, like
Oh.
word choice, spelling,
Mm.
grammar, sources, all that stuff happens in the copy edit. But the copy edit is actually, I think, probably the easier one. It's the faster one,
Okay.
because you're not looking at structure anymore. You're not looking at, finding sources. You're not digging deeper into the content of
Okay.
what you've written. So that one goes faster.
Okay.
Um, and then from copy edit, which is another person, right? Like, so different
Okay. So
person,
that's
different
third
relationship.
editor. Okay.
Mhm. Then you go to layout.
Oh, okay.
And so layout is when it looks like a book. Now,
Okay.
like, it's got the pagination, it's got the one of the things the development editor does is, like, break it into, like, subheadings and sub-subheadings so that it looks like a book that when you pick it up, you wanna read.
Right. Okay.
Um And we made a huge change in the layout editing, that at first I was like, "Oh, I don't know." But ultimately, I think it worked because every activity, there are 46 of them, and every activity started by like, "Do this activity."
Okay.
But it wasn't working in layout. Like, I'm not even exactly sure how it was impacting how the pages looked. So we moved it from the beginning of the activity to the end. And I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, I don't know. I don't
Oh, okay.
know." But
Oh,
I think
okay.
but I think ultimately it worked. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. People like it. People are reading it. People are leaving reviews on Amazon, which is the best gift you can give an author.
Yay. Give
Uh,
her that gift, folks. Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Even if you
so
didn't buy it on Amazon.
at that point, I mean, this is like feels like it's the end. They're essentially reworked the whole thing. Does that start anything over or are you still just able to move forward?
So that is really the beginning of the end of the writing process. So
Okay.
once the layout is done, it goes to print, and then phase 2 of book writing begins,
Oh,
which is
okay.
the getting it out into the world, marketing it, letting people know that
Oh,
it exists and that you exist, and um it's a long process. So the final layout stuff happened in May,
okay.
and kind of overlapping that, you're beginning to do your marketing for the book. Asking people to endorse it,
Okay.
getting the endorsements that show up on the book that happened like back in March and April. So there are
Oh,
lots
the
of parallel
endorsements.
things happening. Mhm.
Okay. So do they do any more does the press do any marketing for you or is that really on the author?
So they do some, but
Okay.
most of that is on the author.
Okay.
Um, the benefit of ATD Press is that because it's connected to the association, they they do have a really captive audience that comes to their website, buys books there. Members get a discount, so
Okay.
and they send out, I don't know how often, but probably, quarterly is my guess. Like, a quarterly catalog goes out.
Okay. With their
They
books.
have a monthly magazine, and I know that, they it I think there was an image of the book in the magazine twice. So they're
Oh,
doing
okay.
some marketing, but the bulk of the marketing, the bulk of like the really daily getting that word out there is on the author.
Okay. And so how long did that I mean, has that ever ended, I guess? Is that a period of time or is it just the rest of your life?
It's the rest of my life, right? It's the rest of the book's life. Like, and that's one of the things that I got this fabulous advice from Elaine Lynn Herring, who um, is an author as well, and I never remember the name of her book. Um, it's about silence, about unlearning silence. That shouldn't be so hard. It's one of the blue books up there.
That's kind
Unlearning
of an ironic
silence.
title that you can't remember the name.
I know, I know. It's a fabulous book that I think everyone should read. But Elaine took the time to talk to me about book launch. And
Okay.
one of the pieces of advice she gave was that, this is yours. Like, you do
Mm,
it your way.
yeah.
And my friend and author Elena Schlotzka, who wrote Measurement on a Shoestring, she said to me, you don't think of this as something that you have to do in 6 months. It's like 5 years. Like, this is a
Okay.
book. It'll be there forever. So we
Yeah.
did a lot in that around the book launch time, because you
Okay.
wanna, like, that's when you have most of your sales, a big bulk of
Mhm.
them, and you wanna kinda create that. Um,
Mhm.
so I kind of balanced Elaine, and I just realized their names are so similar. I
I did
balanced
notice that.
their
I was noticing it.
I balanced their feedback with, my own capacity to pour my life into it. Um,
Yeah.
and so it got it out there, and so I'm still doing stuff, but just not as much as around that launch period.
Okay. And so, I can see we're almost out of time, but I have 2 questions I wanna make sure we get to, and I wanna make sure that we get the name of the book out there. But if somebody's listening and has always wanted to write a book or is contemplating write a book, what advice would you give that person?
My advice would be to get really specific with
Mm,
who your audience is, who you're writing for, and grab the proposal format so that you
okay.
can see, like, this is what I
Yeah.
need to be thinking about. This is what they're going to want, because that format helps provide clarity.
Mm,
And if you're thinking about a nonfiction book, then
mhm.
I would absolutely follow Ann Janzer, who
Okay.
is a fabulous author who has multiple nonfiction books about writing nonfiction.
Oh, wow, okay. That's very meta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is very meta, and she's just a fabulous human. And then I would also consider following or even joining the Nonfiction Authors Association.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I didn't even know that
and
was a thing.
yeah, uh, uh, there is. And Stephanie Chandler is the CEO, and she's actually located in Folsom.
No
And
way!
I
Oh,
know,
that's
small
fun.
world, right?
That's near
Small
us, yeah,
world.
okay.
But has fabulous resources, a lot of resources on self-publishing if that is a
Oh,
route
okay.
you want to go, as well as support for that.
Mm,
So lots
that's
of good
super
stuff out
helpful.
there.
Okay, my last question before we talk about the actual book is, would you write another book?
Yes.
In that face, is there already another book in the works?
So I may have been on a plane to Orlando recently where
Okay.
I might have written the proposal for the next book.
Oh, really? Ooh, I'm guessing you're not allowed to say the topic, or are you?
The topic, I'm still kind of working it out, like, specifically. I know I wrote the proposal, but the topic is principles of learning. Like like
This is so exciting. I did not know
yeah,
this. So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is brand new information right here.
Yep,
I love
yep.
it.
I haven't put the proposal out in the world yet. I haven't
Okay.
sent it, but there have been some conversations about the success of my book and following
And
it
what
up with another book.
I love it. And what's next, right? And what's next?
Yeah.
Okay, before we end, give us a snippet. What is your book? Where can we find it? Tell us all the things.
It is learning that lasts. I just always have it here. Like,
Look at I have it right here too.
oh,
Learning that lasts.
yay. Very impressive that you could just grab it. It is learning that lasts. It's reflection activities for trainers and designers and anyone who cares to remember something long term. Um, that isn't actually the subtitle, but I think it should be.
I love that. Yeah.
Um, and you can find it anywhere that you buy books. It is available on Amazon, where I would love for you to leave a review, whether or not you bought it there. If you're an ATD member, you can get it on their website
Oh,
and get your member discount. And then any other online. I have not, no physical bookstores have it that I have gone to yet. I haven't pursued that route. So,
okay.
uh, so
Maybe
there you
we
go.
should get some into that. I'm blanking. What's the Midtown bookstore?
East Village Bookshop, East
Maybe
Village
East
Bookshop. I
Village
just need to go
Book
talk to them.
needs it. Yeah. Yeah. It's in the
Yeah,
perfect spot. So I think we got to make
yeah.
that happen.
They can order it for you, though. If you do
Okay.
find yourself there, they can order it for you.
There we go. Okay, good. All right. Well, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for willing to be the interviewee today. And I know we can't wait to see what the next one brings. So looking forward to that.
I'm Thank you. I'm excited about it. So we shall see. We shall see. Taking a
We
little
shall
break, doing some other things for a while.
like a podcast, for
Like a
example.
podcast.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
that's good for me. Okie doke, signing off for today. Thanks
All
for
right.
joining.
Thank you, Jill.